What if the deepest part of you has never been broken, regardless of what life has taken away? Most philosophies begin with a search for happiness. We are looking for something else, the part of yourself that exists before happiness or sadness are even felt. For many, the modern emotional baseline is a state of constant noise, anxiety over the future, the weight of failure, and the exhaustion of keeping up with a world that never stops moving. When we experience grief, the ego interprets the pain as a sign that our internal story has reached a dead end. It convinces us that the world we knew has been shattered beyond repair. This suffering feels insurmountable because the ego adds its own layer of resistance to the pain, desperately trying to preserve a reality that has already changed. These questions were the life's work of Nishida Kitaro. He is remembered as the founder of modern Japanese philosophy, but his ideas weren't born in a library. He lived through an era of friction. Japan was modernizing at a staggering speed, creating a collision between ancient cultural traditions and the rise of a new industrial, militarized society. His personal life was marked by a series of losses. Nishida buried several of his children, his wife, and faced years of chronic illness and financial instability. He didn't use philosophy to hide from this. He used it as a tool to investigate what remains of a human being when every layer of comfort is stripped away. Nishida discovered that peace doesn't require us to avoid suffering. It requires us to find the ground of experience that can hold that suffering without being destroyed by it. Nishida's investigation begins with pure experience. This is the raw moment of existence, right before the mind begins to label things as good, bad, or ruinous. Consider the act of crying. There is the physical reality, the tears, the heavy breathing, the racing heart. The ego then layers a story on top. I can't survive this. Pure experience gently separates the physical fact from the mental narrative. To understand how to find this clarity, we have to look at Basho, or the logic of place. We usually assume the I is a small object trapped inside a massive world. Nishida reverses this. You are the field of consciousness in which the world appears. Grief is not a cage. It is simply an object appearing within that field. You are the awareness through which the grief is passing. This makes you much larger than the emotion you are feeling. If you are the container for all experience, that container cannot have fixed qualities. Nishida calls this absolute nothingness. This concept is often confused with nihilism, or the idea that life is meaningless. In Nishida's view, however, nothingness isn't a lack of reality, it's the source of it. It is the undivided flow of reality that exists before the ego tries to categorize life into mine, loss, or failure. This mirrors Zen Buddhist practices that investigate who we are before thought, language, and memory take over our identity. Absolute nothingness is like a canvas. It is the necessary, quiet background that allows every color of human experience to appear. During a storm, the ocean's surface is chaotic and violent. If we stay on the surface, we mistake that chaos for the ocean itself. But if you go 2 kilometers down, there is only silence. The storm hasn't stopped. The waves are still crashing above, but they have no power over the deep water. The same is true of the sky. Joy, anger, and sadness are weather systems. They arrive, they change the light, and eventually they pass. Modern neuroscience notes that when we reduce focus on the self, emotional distress often lessens. We stop being the victim of the weather and start being the sky. The deepest part of you never becomes the storm. It remains the permanent background that watches the storm move through. This isn't an instruction to ignore sadness or pretend everything is okay. Forcing emotions away only hides them. It doesn't resolve them. While Stoicism focuses on what we can control, Nishida asks us to look at the nature of the I that is trying to control the world. Think of a mirror. It reflects a smile or a tear with the same clarity. It doesn't cling to the image, and it doesn't judge the person looking into it. We are seeking a capacity to hold suffering without being shattered by it, leaving the emotion itself intact while we remain grounded. Nishida's approach to tragedy is practical. Feel the physical pain. Do not deny the grief. Then you must ask a single question. What is the part of me that is aware of this grief? You will find that the awareness remains as it was, separate from the content it observes. The grief is happening within your awareness, but it is not the same thing as the awareness itself. This is why Nishida wrote that the bottom of his soul had such depth that the waves of sorrow simply could not reach it. Awareness of this depth provides the foundation required to live fully through both the beauty and the tragedy of life.